Hello and welcome to the show. This is episode 10 of the Einstein's PlayStation podcast, and I am your host, Isaac Miller. Today we'll be covering the deals, the news of the week, and the games that we'll be releasing Tuesday, March 24th. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. To start off, we'll cover the games that are coming out this week in North America. On Tuesday, March 24th, we have 5 releases. To start off the list strong, we'll start with Borderlands: The Handsome Collection, which is a remaster collection that contains Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel. That is a good grab if you're a Schluter fan. That is first-person shooter and a loot-based RPG experience. And then we have Arcade Archives Mat Mania Exciting Hour, which is a 1985 debuted wrestling game that is now coming out on a PlayStation, on a next-gen console, which is PlayStation 4. We also have an arcade classic, Metal Slug 3, which is the 2D shoot 'em up. We have then Yorby Episode 1 Payback's a Bolt, which I don't have much to say about that because I do not know much about this release, because it's not put out by a large studio. And last, to finish our list off strong, we have Bloodborne, which is the spiritual successor to the Dark Souls game, put out by developer From Software. This is a highly anticipated PlayStation 4 exclusive that you must get if you are a Dark Souls or Demon Souls fan, or even if you enjoy RPGs. I'm not saying it's easier, but they have changed up the combat and made it faster and more offensive based. And so, if Dark Souls has angered you because of its challenging aspects of it, give Bloodborne a shot, because I think it might be able to pull you back in. And so, now that we've put those out this week out of the way, we can jump into our deals. To start us off, we have The Order 1886 for $40 from Amazon. Also from Amazon is Evolve for $50. And last, you can get The Last of Us Remastered from Amazon for $22. Another deal from GameStop, not GameSpot, you can save $175 at GameStop when you trade in your 120 gigabyte PS3 or a 250 gigabyte Xbox 360. That would be credit towards a new PS4. This week, we've had a few games announced, including Strike Vector EX, which is coming this spring. Gravity Rush is being remastered from Vita, being ported to PS4, according to a ratings board in Asia. And God of War 3 Remastered is coming July 14th. And last, Sucker Punch has announced that they will be offering free gear for Infamous Second Son's launch anniversary. That includes ringtones, Twitter avatars, and Second Son cover art. They will be also offering themes for $1.99 of Delson and Fetch on the PlayStation Network store. And last, you can pick up Infamous First Light for 50% off in between March 27th and March 30th. So that wraps up our releases, deals, and news. So without further ado, let's jump in to our weekly topic. Now time for our weekly topic. So it's been almost 2 years since the November 15th, 2013 release of the PlayStation 4 console, and many games have been released. But there's one thing that still is catching my attention. Games that are still being announced for being released, are remasters. Just this week, God of War 3 Remastered Edition has been announced, and it's been almost 2 years later. And we've had 24 plus remastered AAA titles, and a few indies that are being remastered. And they are still coming with this year, which is crazy to think about. Here, I'll read you guys this list that I've compiled of all the remasters that have been released and are going to be released within the next year. Last of Us Remastered, DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition, Final Fantasy Type 0 HD Remastered, Grand Theft Auto 5 Remastered, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition, Dead or Alive 5 Last Round, God of War 3 Remastered, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey New and Tasty, Metro Redux, Injustice Gods Among Us Definitive Edition, Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, Borderlands The Handsome Jack Collection, Tukiden Kiwami, Dead Nation Apocalypse Edition, Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sins, Final Fantasy X and X2 HD, Resident Evil Remastered, Payday Crime Wave Edition, Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, Saints Row 4 Reelected, Journey, and last, Elder Scrolls Online Tamriel Edition. That is a huge list of a bunch of different genres, and 4 to 5 of them have not even come out yet. Have they overstayed their welcome? I know that remasters' intent are to give people who haven't played them an opportunity to play these wonderful games. And today, March 22nd, Sony has commented saying, "This will help us open up the door for new players who perhaps did not play God of War 3 5 years ago to be able to play it." People often forget the more players we can bring into a franchise, the better for everyone. End quote. So that implies that they're not done making remasters anytime soon. That kind of leaves the PlayStation 4 library pretty dry. With lots of, I don't know if the high-end developers are working, like the teams of the high-end developers are working on the ports. I don't know how that works, but I think that you could put these developers to work on something new and innovative IP-wise. The remasters are not necessarily bad in most senses, especially if they add something to it. Like Final Fantasy Type 0 HD, that was completely necessary because of the lack of availability of it on PSP, and not many people played that. And it included the Final Fantasy 15 demo, Episode Disguise. That was completely necessary. And although Grand Theft Auto 5 added the first person, which changed the game completely, that's also something that each game that is remastered has to do something like that. And Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sins will be adding all the DLC, like most games do. They add all the DLC or put them in a collection, such as Metro Redux. And so for us, those are pretty good deals, and it can expand the library and give lots of replayability to the series that we love, because most of these games are very solid games by themselves. And when they're remastered and put on 1080p 60 frames per second, although most people can't notice the difference between 30 frames per second and 60, we can play them on super high polished settings, and it's a better experience overall. And they add photo modes such as Last of Us, and God of War 3 will have that. And so these definitive editions or remasters, they're really, I think they've done enough. Unless they really go back farther, back like Final Fantasy VII or Shadow of the Colossus, such games like that that are being remastered. If they were remastering those, that would be the only reason that they should continue to remaster games, unless they are giving mid-tier developers work and letting them create and get used to the PlayStation 4 system by putting together a Uncharted collection that contains Uncharted 1, 2, and 3, or an Arkham collection. And so, if they did something along those lines, that would be the only way I can see that HD remasters or definitive editions would be allowed, or still a key part of the PlayStation ecosystem. The games are not bad. It's not like I'm complaining about bad games being released. It's just some people, especially the hardcore fans who've had systems from PlayStation 1, or even if they had the PlayStation 3. Most of these games were on the PlayStation 3, and so they've played them. And so for them, you're kind of counting them, you're kind of cutting their legs out from underneath them, because they're not being able to play new games. Although the new games are coming out and rolling out as the months pass in 2015 and early 2016, we have a bunch of new releases, especially the large ones and exclusives like Bloodborne or Uncharted. And so the lack of games, new games, is not really a problem, but more of a something that needs to be addressed. It's not a problem at this point because there's not a huge list of them. If they keep making more and keep announcing more, especially of titles that do not need it, I think that's when the problem can come up, and PlayStation owners, especially the ones who are new, especially the old ones that have had the consoles for a while, especially those, it's not going to be the best option for them, other than developers making money off of it. So I don't know where this is going to head, as long as Sony is still backing them. but I want them to be fading out a little bit and going into new IPs or with long standstill series and expanding those series and making new games. So that about wraps up our show. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also subscribe via email on our website, Einstein's PlayStation Playground.wordpress.com. I'm your host, Isaac Miller, signing off.